Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit more about Rocket Money. It's the start of a new year. It's the perfect time to get organized, set your goals, prioritize what matters most. And for me, top priority is getting myself together here. Financial wellness, doing that, which that feels important, just feels like adult stuff that you have to do. And thanks to Rocket Money, my goals feel achievable now. They show me all my subscriptions in one place, help me easily cancel ones I forgot that I've been paying for, which happened to me. Absolutely happened to me. For years, I was paying for something. I was like, what is going on here? Rocket Money found it and saved me lots of money since then, because it's been a while. So they did a great job here. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder today. That's rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder. rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Thank you for joining us. Today we look at the town of Raynham, Massachusetts, for a terrifying murder that left the town in shambles. Welcome to Small Town Murder. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on Small Town Murder. Yay! My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host, as always.
I'm Jimmy Whisman.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on the second episode of Small Town Murder.
Fuck yes.
Hope you enjoyed the trip down to Sarah, Mississippi last week. It was
so sticky.
It was sticky, and the crime was terrible, and it was a little disturbing. Well, today we have another town, another crime, and we're ready for it. You want to get into it? But before we get into it, I do want to thank the listeners for their iTunes reviews this week.
Yeah.
That is so huge, and it really helps drive us up the charts, and it's going to help us get sponsors and everything else. So thank you, folks, so much for that. Please get on iTunes. Give us 5 stars. Tell them, just say you're following instructions. It doesn't matter. Just tell them that you like the show. Say whatever you want about us, but we'd really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. There was a lot.
There was a whole bunch of feedback, and it was all positive.
Very overwhelming. Thank you guys.
Yeah, so overwhelming, especially since we do our other podcast, Crime and Sports, and I'm sure that some of those people tuned in as well. But I'm positive there was a lot of new people. They jumped on board and found it and had nice things to say, and that means the world to us, but more to James, because James busts his fucking ass on this goddamn thing.
We both do plenty, my friend. Let's get into this here. Let's head to the town of Raynham, Massachusetts.
Yes.
This is a town. It's in the southeastern corner of Massachusetts. Massachusetts kind of has a little hook on the bottom that kind of hooks around.
Yep.
It's in the inside of that.
It's a weird shaped state. It's got like a little shape. Yeah. It's got like a little leg on the bottom.
Yeah. They fought over some territory and they said, okay, you can have that, and Connecticut can't, and that's that. So the zip code in Raynham is 02767.
So weird. It starts with a 0.
Yeah, those severe East Coast states starting with 0.
The very first ones.
Yep, I grew up in New York. I always had a 1 zip code.
All right. right.
125, whatever the heck. So that's that. The history, get a little history of Raynham. We'll get into the town of Raynham and what kind of place we're dealing with, and then head into the horrible things that happened there.
I can't wait.
This town, it's an old town.
I'm sure.
It settled all the way back in 1639.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so we're talking, these are originals here.
Yeah, these are colonials started. People with buckles on their fucking shoes.
And their hats. Yeah. People with buckles everywhere. They didn't give a shit.
Buckles just dangling.
Buckled up, these people. It was founded by a woman, actually. It is the first town in the United States to be founded by a woman.
How about that?
It's a woman named Elizabeth Pole.
What a progressive fucking city.
Progressive
I like
place.
it.
It's mainly iron workers lived there at first because they discovered there was a big iron ore discovery there.
Oh.
So that made the place just iron central. Yeah. It was like West Virginia with coal, but there was iron there. 23 people formed a local iron works that the town kind of rallied around. It's pretty funny because the town seal proclaims that it's the first iron works in America, which isn't even true. So they're living on a lie right from the town seal, right on all of their paperwork. It's just a lie, starting with a lie. It was incorporated.
How can you lay stake and claim to a house if the deed is written on a fucking paper that seal is a lie?
Lies, all lies.
You
I
don't
tell
own
you,
this house.
No, not at all. Unbelievable. So the town was incorporated in 1731. So I mean, that's how old it actually is, like an official town since then. The ironworks that was there operated all the way until 1873, when they had to figure out some other shit to do for work there. Once the iron dried up, they're like,
lobster harvesting.
Well, shipbuilding was a big industry there. That tells you how long ago this was. That shipbuilding was a big industry. The way they did it too is crazy. They just dug these trenches in the riverbeds and then just rolled the wood down. It's insane how they did it.
And then they rolled the ship off of logs into the ocean.
It was nuts reading about how they did that.
A weird assembly line.
It's weird too. The town's economy since the ironworks closed has hinged on some really weird, some fringe things popping up here and there. Like there were several shoe manufacturers that popped in, a straw hat factory.
What?
A whole factory. How many straw hats are needed?
How many do you need?
You know, farming was big in the United States at that point when they're just like, well, we need to make more straw hats. How can we know? We need like a line. We really got to do this right. You know how Ford does it? Like that with hats, though. Unbelievable.
And then you're growing it only a few months of the year because that shit gets cold.
Yeah.
Super cold. Your fucking straw won't grow.
I don't know, but they had a whole factory there. A town's economy depended on people wearing straw hats at one point. So that tells you a lot. The foresight and the planning here. Also, too, a bleachery and a tack factory.
What does a bleachery do? They bleach your butthole?
I don't know what a bleachery is, but I grew up with one right by my house, and it was this in a small town in upstate New York, a little bit about an hour up north of New York City that we'll actually do a story from that actually happened there. But there was a bleachery there, and it was like back in the woods, and we'd go there, and it was like we'd go there to skateboard, and it was really haunted, everybody thought, and we'd all run away when we heard a noise. That was the bleachery. So apparently they had a big haunted building that kids skateboarded in back then.
Build bleachers, or what the fuck do they do?
I think they made bleach, honestly, maybe.
Ugh.
I guess.
Stinky.
They needed a lot of bleach back then, I guess.
I'm going to Google that shit. What does a bleachery do?
Tack factory was there, though. That was a big one. Just make some tacks, I guess. Also, it was agricultural. One farm in that area raised 39 different varieties of apples.
Oh.
So they have that going.
How about that?
Very apple.
I didn't know there was that many apples in the world.
Very apple-centric, so that's good. To give you a location here, it's about 40 minutes from Boston. So it's just outside Boston, 36 miles from Boston. That's nothing. That's practically a suburb. So the town population right now is listed at 13,575. Okay. Now, out of that number on this site, the statistical site that I found, and I have a few of them, 13,414 are listed as, quote, in households. So they have about 150 people that are homeless, I guess, which is seems like a lot of homeless people for a small town.
13,000.
I don't know. It's an affluent town. We'll get into this. Is a nice. Last week we were in kind of a run down, kind of a economically depressed area and things like that. This is nothing like this.
This is a well-to-do place.
This is a well-to-do northeastern city. It's a completely opposite of last week.
Okay.
There's only 4% unemployment there right now.
Wow.
So it's cooking. You know what I mean? And listen to this. The average household income in this town right now is $104,837.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They have half as many people as the national average making under $15,000 and twice as many people making over $100,000 as the national average. So it's very affluent. To give you an idea of how it's the density goes, how it's spread out or not so in this case. The population density is 673 per square mile. 91 is the national average. And if we remember last week, Sarah, Mississippi was 43. So there's a lot of people here.
Yeah.
And it's just, tight neighborhoods, houses on top of things.
Right.
Just East Coast, basically.
Yeah.
It is pretty much average and everything else as far as the people go. Average in the sexes, 41% male, or 51% female, 49% male.
Yeah.
All the age groups are within 1% of the national average. They do have 1.92% age over 85. Which Sarah had 0.0, if you remember last time. So the health care might be better up there. They're keeping
they can
people
afford
alive.
it.
Yeah, that's about the national average.
The people that make under $15,000 are probably the children that are going to school or whatever.
Probably.
And the parents make like $200,000, so it brings their fucking median average age $104,000. That's crazy.
That's a lot. That's a good, and we'll get into the housing prices too here in a moment.
So you got to make some cash.
What kind? The breakdown of race here, because that's always a component in a town, as we know.
Irish? I'm guessing.
We have 85% white, 62% is the national average.
Yep.
4.26% black, 12.24 is the national average.
Mm-hmm. They play for the fucking Patriots?
Yeah, but pretty much. It's those guys. And a couple of Red Sox, maybe. Oh, no, the Celtics are there, too. This is the town. This is actually Raynham, not the whole state. 4% Asian, which is about right. 2.5 nationally about right. You can have as many Asians as you like. I'm not telling you how many Asians to have in your town. That's about right. Don't have any more.
That's about right. You don't want
to go above 4%. Let me tell you something. Things get a little messy.
You don't want to overdo it.
Good God. So 2.58% Hispanic, which is well below the national average of about 17%. Mm-hmm. 97.42% listed as non-Hispanic. So that's the type of town we have here. Out of the foreign-born residents of the town, 18% are Portuguese.
What?
Which is odd because the national average for foreign-born people is 0.4% Portuguese. Yeah. So it's very, very high on the Portuguese. Then I figured out why, because I read about the jobs right now. Most jobs are management, construction, sales, and production and transportation, and almost 2% of the jobs are fishing, which is well above the average and a good reason for the Portuguese to come there, because otherwise I'm like, what are they flocking here for? What is being... I'd like to look at a town and go, well, that makes it attractive to the Portuguese. Like, what? Oh, you need a fishing boat.
It's likely the lobster harvesting, too, because up there, that's big cash.
Oh, it's big cash up there.
I got a friend from Boston that said that sometimes they will go out and go steal from the lobster traps, but you have to scuba out and do it, because if you dive down and take lobsters out of somebody's trap and come up, a lot of times there will be somebody there watching, and they'll fucking murder you.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's their livelihood.
That's hardcore, man.
And they'll just dunk you right back in the fucking ocean.
That's horse thievery in the West. They're not having
exactly
that
what
shit.
it is.
They're not taking that.
Don't take my trigger.
No, so it's a lot of stable people there. It seems very stable. More married people than national average by 6%. Less people have never been married by 6%. Married people with children is higher by about 6%. Mm-hmm. Single with no children is less by about 6%. So the conclusion of this is it's about 6% more of a family town than average, basically. Right. Less divorced by about 2%, which I can understand why, because the housing prices, as we'll get into, will explain
you don't want to lose half that
shit?
You
can't afford. It's like, we'd have to give it up. Religion there. 61% identify as religious, which is actually well above the national average by about 10%. But don't let that fool you. It's not the same type of religious that we had in Mississippi.
Is it Irish Catholic?
It's Catholic.
Yeah.
About 53% are Catholic. So that's much looser. People pay kind of a loose attention to that. They go on Sunday, they dress the kids up, and then they go home and watch the Patriot game, and they don't care what happened at church. So it's a little bit different. Next closest it's mainly all Catholic. The next closest is other Christian.
Another Christian.
At 2.5%.
Somebody that just goes to a Lutheran church and they just don't give a shit.
Everybody else under 1%
for
religion. So it's that kind of thing. Politically, 59% Democrat, 39% Republican, which is higher Democratic than the national average. 2%
but that's Massachusetts.
That's Massachusetts. Yeah, it is what it is. Now, cost of living here, much higher than the national average. Mm-hmm. There's an index, basically. The average cost, they make 100. Okay, the average cost of the U.S. housing market, that's 100.
Right.
And then they show higher or lower than 100.
Gotcha.
The index for Raynham is 137.
Holy shit.
Way higher than the national average. Utilities were 130 to 100.
Wow.
Groceries 112 to 100, and then the housing is 179 to 100. So it's expensive.
It's
houses
almost
there.
Twice as much as the national average.
Yeah, the average home value there is $369,977. That's average. That is average. Now, if you're looking for a house in Raynham, Massachusetts, here's some for you with the small town murder housing report coming to you.
You are doing such a great job. Patreon.com/crimeinsports.
Do Crime and Sports if you like us. Yeah, because it all goes to us,
Right.
so that's fine. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,750 square foot home on King Street. It's vinyl siding, East Coast wonder, man. $349,900 for that. I wouldn't want to pay that for that house. It didn't look that great. Now, if you're looking for a little more upscale house here, 5-bedroom, 4-bath, 3,100 square feet, also on King Street, $619,000. Wow. You're looking for something a little less. 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,024 square feet, so small. It's on Barbara Road.
$269?
$195.
Wow.
I think it's a foreclosure.
That's
that
crazy.
One. And if you just want to get a tent and camp out, like we showed you in
Sarah, Mississippi.
A lot at 305 Prospect Hill Road that is 2.25 acres is $199,900.
With no house on it.
No house. That is just some grass and trees.
And then in December and January, just fucking snow.
And deer ticks. That's it. You get that.
Lyme disease.
Education, money spent per student is it's pretty much average nationally there, but their results are much better.
Yeah.
Everything else, the students per teacher is the same as everywhere else, but their high school graduation rate there is 93% as opposed to 86% national average, and Sarah, Mississippi was, I think, 78%.
Wow.
So it's a much different environment. This is affluent people.
Catholic upbringing where they beat you if you don't graduate.
This is a bunch of white affluent Catholic people in the Northeast where education is heavily, heavily, I don't know, they put emphasis on the education. 4-year college degree, 33%. Well, 4% was Sarah last week. So that tells you that. 29% is the national average. So that tells you that there. Small place, they have 3 schools. None of them are a high school.
What?
They have a high school, but I guess it's combined with another town.
Okay.
They have Merrill Elementary, which is pre-kindergarten through 1st grade. Mm-hmm. They have Lillibert Elementary, which is grades 2 through 4. And then Raynham Middle School, which is grades 5 through 8, which seems like a bad idea.
Yeah, that's weird.
To put 10-year-olds in with 13-year-olds. That seems like something's going to go wrong there. Yeah, it's going to go bad. Now, if you wanted something really to do in Raynham, if you're going to visit Raynham, you're going to buy one of these houses, go ahead and check out the Raynham Flea Market. They're super proud of the Raynham Flea Market.
And if
Raynham.
it's like, flea markets are generally used stuff or like antiques and shit.
Yeah, that's,
in
I don't
a
know if
town
you know
like
what a flea
that.
market. An old town with you might get
I'll
an
bet
old
you
person.
can get a rocking chair from 1776.
Probably, yeah, made by Quakers. It's perfect. Made by a guy with a buckle on his hat.
It's got a buckle on the bottom.
Made by a man covered. Why is this covered in buckles? This is so strange for a chair.
Buckle your feet into the chair? This is strange.
It's very odd for a dinner plate covered in buckles. I don't get that. This flea market claims to be, quote, New England's premier flea market. Which that's a bold claim right there, man. Some flea markets to compete with, buddy.
New England, that's a lot of states.
It is open Sundays 8 to 5, including Easter, and it's only 75 cents for seniors to get in. So come on down to the Raynham Flea Market.
Still today?
Still today.
That's hilarious. Why even charge?
Why bother?
For 75 cents, why fucking bother?
Why bother?
That's
now,
silly.
In September, they have what is called Raynham Community Pride Day. And that's, quote, an afternoon of free fun for the whole family. And we will find out more about why that is in September and why that particular day that it's on, because it ties into our story.
All right.
The crime.
Real quickly, though, why have a Pride Day? It sounds like you're pretty fucking proud to be there.
They're proud. They are proud. But it connects in with this because it's also a Child Safety Awareness Day.
All right.
And we'll find out why they need one of those.
$569,000. I'm pretty fucking proud to be here.
Yeah, right. I just spent $600,000 on a
goddamn
mediocre house with vinyl siding. I'm not too excited about this. The house that was $350,000 in Sarah, Mississippi, was a mansion. It was like this beautiful.
It's like 4 bedrooms and 36 bathrooms. It was crazy.
Yeah, it looked like it would stand up to those F4 tornadoes that hit down there, but no. Now, property crime, getting to the crime here. Property crime is actually above the state average. It is 23.27 per 1,000 people, which is a 16 per 1,000 is the average in Massachusetts. But that's still half the national average in burglary and motor vehicle theft, but way higher than regular theft for some reason.
Sounds like kids.
That's what I'm thinking too. Chances of being a victim of property crime in Raynham is 1 in 43. It's about 1 in 59 for the rest of the state. Now the violent crime.
Oh, God.
Let's get into the violent crime because that's where we kind of land.
Yeah.
The stats here, I believe, are for 2015. They had 0 murders, 1 rape, 7 robberies, and 17 assaults. You are about half as likely to be raped, assaulted, or murdered here than your average town, basically. Raynham had 1 point.
That's like the fucking tourist logo.
They should put that on the seal rather than the bullshit Ironworks thing. They should take that off and
You're
be
half as likely to get raped, robbed, or stabbed here.
Half as likely to get raped. Come on in. That would draw. I think that would draw people in.
That's much better than we're the first ironworkers because you're fucking not.
Buy a house for $500,000. You're half as likely to get raped. Just half. I mean, shit'll get stolen out of it because you're more likely to get shit stolen. But other than that, unbelievable. Raynham had 1.81 violent crimes per 1,000 residents as compared to 3.91 per 1,000 in Massachusetts. So it's much safer there than anywhere else in the state. About twice as safe. Chances of being a victim of a violent crime in Raynham, Massachusetts are 1 in 552. It's about 1 in 256 for Massachusetts. So, like I said, about twice as safe. Population here. Now, I said it was 13,000 and change. Now, in the 70s, when we're going to talk about in a little bit here, the population was more like 6,000 to 8,000 people.
Okay.
It was even a smaller town. Yeah. Same affluence and same everything, but it was a bit of a smaller town.
Gotcha.
Now, there's some cult activity, some occult things here that make this area kind of famous. Not this town, but over there. There's something called the Bridgewater Triangle.
Oh, yeah.
We've heard of the Bridgewater Triangle. I've heard story, but whenever they do a story on the Bridgewater Triangle, they concentrate on the cult murders and also to like cryptozoology. And these
weird.
A bunch of weird stuff there, and that's what they always concentrate on. They don't concentrate on. They love. It's hard for some reason when people cover murder, and especially press when they covered murder, and especially in the 70s or 80s. If there was any kind of satanic link to it, that was it.
That's
they didn't care about
they don't
anything
give
else.
A fuck about any other story. That's the one they want to talk about.
They wanted to scare these 60% Catholic people.
Bring the chicken blood and chicken feet. I want to talk about that shit.
I swear I blame this on The Exorcist too. I blame
You're probably
all of
right.
that panic on The Exorcist. It has to be because people were like, the devil's real and they're coming. It's like, calm down.
And up there too, because it's such a Catholic heavy area. Those people just fucking the devil is something that they talk about frequently, and when it's something that focuses around the devil, they want to talk about that shit. See, this is what happens when you watch those movies.
Well, that, and they also made a boutique industry out of scaring the shit out of people with their kids. That's what it was. It was an industry to scare you into not letting your kid outside or out of your sight for 5 seconds, and that's kind of what happened.
I like
here.
how you said boutique industry.
It is
That's
a boutique
hilarious.
industry. It's exactly what it is. Now, the Bridgewater Triangle, like I said, a lot of cult satanic activities, UFO landings have been claimed there, supernatural things, cryptozoological things, which is, like Bigfoot.
Straight batshit things.
Straight crazy. So there's been some murders occurring in the state forest there. Some of them have been attributed to the cult members, and that's been a big deal that they concentrated on. This one that we're going to concentrate on today was not a cult murder, though some have tried to claim it was at first, but then they figured that it's not. It was just a guy.
It's just people being crazy and then going, we got to blame it on something, and it's got to be the fucking cults.
Something has to give.
Right.
Now, let's give it a little background, shall we? Let's give it a little background. Let's head back to June 22nd, 1968.
All right.
Climb on back here. It's 1:30 p.m. On June 22nd, 1968. That sounds serene, doesn't it? Other than Vietnam and all that kind of thing. It sounds pretty serene at that point. There's a 13-year-old girl named Jacqueline Bussieri. She was out walking her bicycle down the street. She was coming from a friend's house. She's on a quiet street. It's in North Andover, Massachusetts.
She's 13?
13 years old.
1:30 in the morning.
No, 1:30 p.m.
Oh, okay.
p.m.
Shit. All right.
Middle of the afternoon in an affluent, nice, small northeastern town where everybody, they know each other. People, it's very nice, right? She's walking. It's North Andover. It's about an hour from Raynham. So we're in the ballpark here. A small blue car passes her several times while she's walking her bike down the street. Finally, she looks up at one point. She's looking down at her bike, looks up, and the car is stopped in front of her.
Oh, Jesus.
And there's a man standing there by the car, driver door open, engine running, and he seems friendly, too. She said he seemed friendly. Jacqueline, the man asked Jacqueline for directions to a nearby house, like one of her neighbor's houses. He said, "Do you know where this road is?" And around there, she's like, "Oh, yeah, well, that's my neighbor's house." They're very friendly and he's in the neighborhood. He knows the person in my neighborhood. He's not a bad guy, obviously. He's asking for directions to Tom's house or whatever. So that sort of thing. She got her trust a little bit. So he approached her and she approached him together. You know, they kind of walked together. She turned at one point to point the direction that he wanted to go. She turned to say, oh, yeah, you want to go right here. And as she does that, he covers her mouth and nose with his hand.
Her hands are away.
Her hands are away. She drops her bike on the street.
Fuck.
And she was going to struggle, but then looked up and noticed that he had an iron bar in his hand.
Oh, no.
So he forces her to the car, forces her in the car and onto the passenger floor of the car, kind of under the dash.
Not a good place to be.
Not a good. Now, number one, this is broad daylight.
Yeah.
1:30 in the afternoon.
Ballsy shit.
Ballsy. It's like, it's the most ballsy, monstrous act at the same time. And so you're clearly a monster, but holy shit, the
in
sack
broad daylight,
you have to have.
Right. At 1:30, and in this neighborhood, there's likely a lot of stay-at-home moms.
It's 1968.
Right. She's looking out the window. Yeah. There's a lot of them.
There's people. It's 1:30 in the afternoon, so she was out. There's probably other kids running around. I wouldn't, take the tire out of a car, the air out of a tire in that neighborhood in the middle of the day.
She's standing out there in that fucking apron watering the grass.
Yes, exactly.
At that point.
No, exactly. So now she's in the passenger side on the floor. He backs out of the neighborhood and takes off really fast. Drives fast for about a half hour, she says. The last of which is through the woods. Oh, God. She's looking up and seeing woods, which is, I mean, I can't imagine the fear anyway of being abducted by anybody, but then being stuffed in a car, but then you're being driven out to the woods. It's terrible. I can't imagine what's going through this poor girl's mind. He stops to get Jacqueline out of the car and walks her down a wooded path. So he's walking her into the woods. Yeah. Not great. As she's walking, he hits her in the back of the head with a bar, the iron bar, okay? He then tries to force her head into a stream. I think he's trying to drown her in the stream, basically. Yeah. She's a fighter, this girl. Good for you, her. Jacqueline. Fight back. She's fighting back against him, and as she's fighting back, she reaches up and grabs the glasses off his face. Girl. He's wearing glasses, takes the glasses, and throws them in the woods.
Good girl.
Now, this goes to show you, when your vision's fucked up, exactly how important glasses are to you.
Listen, man, when I lose my glasses, I'm like, God, if I could only find my glasses, I could find my fucking glasses.
Exactly. This is his Achilles heel. She found, like, the one little point in the monster where you have to shoot the arrow. He's blind.
He's like fucking Velma in Scooby-Doo, where she's just like, her glasses fall off and she's fucked.
I would say that you're never busier or more involved than when you're trying to kill someone, especially probably a stranger child in the woods. So you must really need your glasses is what I'm getting at here. He retrieves his glasses. As he does that, she tries to run. Good for her. This girl's got good instincts, man. He catches up with her. Forces her back in the car. Jesus. So this isn't great.
And now there's hell to pay.
Now there's hell. Now he's pissed. Drives her deeper into the woods. That wasn't far enough. Takes Jacqueline out of the car. Takes a bedspread and tears strips out of the bedspread.
Oh, fuck.
And uses this to tie her to a tree.
Oh, no.
Using her hands and her ankles and her torso. Ties her to a tree. Now she's tied to a tree, bleeding from a head wound, not knowing what's going on. This is the most horrible scenario you could imagine.
With some cheap fucking bedspread tied to her fucking hands and feet.
That's what I mean, with some bedspread tied to her feet. This poor girl, I can't imagine the fear that's going through her. And what is this guy going to do now? What's he doing? He's pacing. This is funny because, not funny, but last week we had the same thing. The guy last week, Jan Michael Bronner, he kills... he kills two people and then paces back and forth and tries to decide what else to do, and then goes and kills somebody else and then waits and then kills somebody else. But this is like...
He doesn't have a plan. He's just kind of erratic and just figuring it out as he goes.
And that's what this feels like. This feels like
so dangerous.
He has a scenario that he wants to do, but he can't do it yet. He doesn't know how to do it yet. He doesn't. And this is the same with so many serial killers. That's how they start. They start out small. They escalate.
Right.
If you look at it, usually a lot of them fail the first couple times they try too. Look at Dennis Rader, the BTK killer. Yeah. He failed multiple times trying to do it. Yeah. It happens a lot. I think Ted Bundy messed up the first time too, and then he messed up at the end, obviously, with the tire. But that's a whole other story. But this escalation is definitely a thing that occurs, and
fucking Dahmer was fucking up the entire time,
the whole time. Well, he was drunk, he was hammered the whole time. So, but this is different, and I really feel like this is a scenario that played out in this guy's head.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a fantasy of his, and he's been wanting to do this, and now he's doing it, and he doesn't know what to do now.
Right.
He's like, okay, now I have everything the way I wanted it. Now what do I do?
Right.
He apparently tried to rape her and couldn't at that point. So I mean, that's part of it also. I
hope he's impotent.
I hope
fucking jerk.
He's a terrible person. This guy. I hope he's more than impotent. I hope he doesn't have anything to be impotent with.
Right. I hope a horrible stepmother cut it off for wetting the bed.
Yeah. So I assume at this point he got frustrated, probably angry, and that's what a lot of these serial killers do too. Is they'll try to sexually assault somebody, they can't because that's their problem, and that's why they want to do this in the first place.
Right.
And then they get angry at the person, and then that's the way that's
the way it ends.
That's their trigger to kill, basically, and they know it's going to happen, but they do it anyway every time, and it's their pattern. So he takes a piece of the bedspread and ties it around her neck, puts it around her neck, and then strangles her with his hands over the bedspread. I don't know if he was
trying to keep from fingerprints or something.
I don't know, finger marks or whatever. She loses consciousness, and that's that. And then next thing you know, she wakes up. And he's gone.
Oh, thank God.
This poor little girl wakes up. Yeah. And
I mean, that's the worst way to wake up.
Yeah,
but
she's tied to a tree, bleeding and scared, but the guy's gone. And she doesn't know what to do now, so she unties herself. She gets herself loose, and she takes this girl as a fighter.
Yeah.
And for me, and I have to say, because I know you're the same way here, we both have daughters.
Yeah.
I have a 15-year-old daughter.
Oh, God.
So the story...
And she's so sweet,
she
too.
Is, and the story hits home with me huge because of that. And you have a little girl, too, and someday she'll be 15.
She's only 6, but... I swear she's like this already. She's an asshole.
I'm telling you, man. So,
but she's a fighter.
She's a fighter.
I really like this Jacqueline girl. I like her gumption.
Definitely. She struggles to get free. She goes and finds help somewhere.
Good girl.
This girl has been through hell.
No doubt.
As the worst thing you could go through without actually being killed.
And at 13 years old.
13 years old. And, that day, I mean, think about it. She was an innocent girl who was walking a bicycle down a street in a small town in the 60s.
No longer.
There was about 5,000 people in the town in the late 60s. It's a little nice, quiet New England town. No one ever would think. It's, there's Portuguese people running around fishing everywhere. You don't think anything of it. And this poor girl's getting kidnapped. She is able to identify her attacker.
Good girl.
Luckily for everybody. Police arrest James Cater.
Okay.
James Cater was born June 18th, 1946 in Lawrence, Massachusetts. So he's only 22 years old at this point, and he's doing this, which is young for a serial. Young for someone to do something like this, an abduction, tie-up. This is serial killer shit that he's doing.
This is in-depth.
This is in-depth. 22 years old also in 1968. I know a place we could have sent him. Weren't we sending people to Vietnam then?
Yeah.
I think right in the front of the pack, not even like a normal mission. Yeah. Just put him in the front of the pack wherever you're going. Be like,
just
strap him to the front of the tank and we're going. Doesn't matter. Human Shield. We're doing it like in South Park. That's what it is, South Park movie. Operation Human Shield. We got one guy and it's this guy, James Cater. Let's go,
Why
asshole.
wasn't he drafted? Yeah. What the fuck?
Tie him to the front of the tank with a bedspread and we're fine. Yeah. With a torn up bedspread.
You know what? Don't even give him an M16. Just give him a cheap fucking bedspread and tell him to go to town. Head over to that flea market, pick him up a bedspread, and fucking ship him over.
Say, tie up the Viet Cong.
Best of luck, sir.
Go to the jungle. There's tons of trees and tons of people.
Tons of people to tie up.
Knock yourself out. Go
the
crazy.
Fun part's trying to find them.
Yeah, enjoy.
Go
fun,
nuts.
Asshole. Unbelievable. So they catch James Cater, like I said. Now, February 6th, 1969, Cater pleads guilty to assault with intent to rape.
Wow.
Yeah, it's also assault and battery with a dangerous weapon and kidnapping.
How about, hello, Massachusetts, where's the part about the minor?
Well, that and attempted murder.
Right.
And I don't know what kind of laws they had about with children back then, though. I don't know. I'm not positive, but they might have had specific laws to that.
They didn't put a fucking emphasis on, hey, this guy's extra dangerous because she was fucking teen.
Also, too, he pled guilty, so that might have dropped it or escalated. We don't know. And the court records from 1969 are spotty. Like this was difficult to find this information here. It was
Did it
really,
have that
really hard.
sweet seal on it?
It did not have that seal. No, we're in a different town, thank God, without the lying seal lying to us over here. Now, unsure of the exact prison sentence, but it says he's released early in 75 or 76. Yes. About
Talking about 5 years?
5, 6, 7 years for kidnapping
a 13-year-old
girl,
tying her to a tree,
attempting to kill her,
attempting to rape,
kidnap, kill,
and then he left her there thinking she was dead.
That's what I mean. He left her for dead. So to me, that's what you think you did.
7 years.
Well, 7 years. Yeah, that seems
it's
right.
A good sentence.
It's unbelievable too because this is what people are afraid of.
Yeah.
This guy is what people are afraid of in the world.
This guy is the reason that gated communities exist.
No, it's true. It's true. And the reason you're paying $300 a month for your HOA,
fucking
and you
jerks,
can't paint your fucking house. You can't paint your garage door a different color beige than everybody else is because of this asshole and people like him. Because honestly, the world's a dangerous place. We all know that. Yeah. We're all thinking you could go out and there could be a terrorist explosion or a mass shooting or somebody could carjack you or there's tons of things. You could be robbed, just held up.
Absolutely.
Tons of things that can happen that we can all wrap our heads around and we can all be like, that's life. And, we all as adults, we deal with this and hopefully we're safe. And you try to move to a decent town like Raynham, Massachusetts, that would be about twice as safe as everywhere else, violent crime-wise, right? That's what these people did.
Your daughter disappears.
And then your daughter disappears off the street, on your street.
I paid $600,000 for this fucking house.
What? So my kid could disappear off the street? That's what I mean. I mean, this kid is on the street. Just it could be anybody. It could be any time. And that's literally nothing is safe at that point. So it's horrible. Now, before prison, he had some other incidents with the law. He was said to have. This is insane. He was said to have run a woman off the road in his car and then tried to abduct her.
What the fuck?
I feel like that was his first attempt.
Yeah.
That was it, because that was like, okay, I'm going to try to run her off the road. And then he realized that's a bad idea. There's cars and shit. And when the car crashes into something, that causes a lot of attention.
Right.
So probably not the best way to abduct a woman. Yeah. Cars, they tend to attract attention.
I got an idea. You put your hand over a 13-year-old's mouth and there's no noise.
Well, he tried something else before that.
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
No, he also tried, there was a 63-year-old woman at a cemetery visiting her husband's grave.
Nothing hotter than that.
Obviously. Yeah, you can't resist yourself.
How do you even get an erection from that?
He attacked her with a chair leg and tried to rape her in the middle of a cemetery.
I hope he bought the chair at the flea market.
At least put back into the local Raynham economy. Go to that flea market, the premier flea market in all of New England. So he's attacking a 63-year-old woman with a chair leg and trying to rape them in a cemetery. What is going on? That's escalation.
That's a coward, though, really, because he's running people off the road. He's attacking the elderly and the fucking meek that can't fight back. That guy's a fucking pussy.
That's a lot of times how they start, and that's a lot of times how young offenders start. There's a book by John Douglas called Mindhunter. John Douglas started and pretty much procured and put together the profiling program in the FBI. It was called behavioral science at that time. Updated it. He basically did that. He wrote the book on it. Him and a partner went around to all the prisons, visiting all the serial killers to find out patterns, to find out what
makes them tick, and what are their choices and why.
Yes, and when you see people attack the elderly or children, a lot of the times it is that they're younger and they don't have the confidence to attack someone who might be able to fight back. So that's how a lot of times serial killers get started, is with someone who is helpless, basically.
Meanwhile,
able to fight back.
Meanwhile, he found his match in a 13-year-old girl. Take that shit, you fucking jerk.
And a 63-year-old woman. Yeah, exactly. So he's a complete piece of shit. And that's probably the escalation. Chase the woman off the street, off the road with a car, and that's a bad idea. Okay, there's a woman in a cemetery publicly. Oh, shit, she's still stronger and an adult and whatever. I know. A kid riding a bicycle. They can't fight back. So that's what you get with that, basically.
So sickening.
So he's released in early 1975 or 76, somewhere in that area, and he begins hanging around Bridgewater. Okay. Bridgewater is the next town over. Bridgewater Triangle. There's Bridgewater. I think Tarrenton is the name of the town.
Is it Tarynton?
No, it's Taunton maybe or something like that. There's another town, and then there's Raynham.
Okay.
So anyway, he gets out of there and he starts hanging around Bridgewater to get clinical therapy. This is where he's getting clinical therapy. Now, this is a building where they should just lock the doors and just set it on fire and burn everyone alive once they get them in there. So I'm not for burning people alive, but listen to the title of this building and tell me if we want the doors to ever open and let these people out. at the, quote, Massachusetts Treatment Center for the Sexually Dangerous.
What the
Let's go
fuck?
ahead and get them inside and then just put like a big stick in the door and go, they're not coming out. You know, like they do it like in at Walking Dead when there's zombies in a barn. They just put a big broom in front of the door through the slats.
Grab the flagpole and just jam it through the two handles.
In there. So they'll run out of food and water eventually. I don't know. So while he's at the Massachusetts Treatment Center for the Sexually Dangerous, he needs a job. Who's going to hire this guy? What do you think? You know who hires him? He becomes a manager at Dunkin Donuts in Brockton. So nice job, Dunkin Donuts.
America runs on Dunkin',
America
man.
runs on cemetery rape, apparently. So this guy's attacking people with chair legs. Insane. So that's what he's doing.
Fuck?
So he's in the area there.
Yeah.
And now we cut to September
Dunking his
8th.
balls in your coffee.
Oh,
fucking
can you
jerk.
imagine? I don't want
the
that
horrible
guy.
things he's done. Like the jokes of how the donuts get the hole.
Yeah.
This man did that. This
That's
man
the thing.
fucked donuts and
Probably.
put your Bismarcks with the cream in them. Guess what?
Yeah, there
you know
you
what
go.
I mean? That's
you
disgusting.
got it right there. That's all yours, man. That's what we're dealing with here. So we're dealing
Horrible.
with, and plus too, did you put that on the application? So you're, let me see here. What's your name here? James? Okay, James. You're, I see you're currently going to the Massachusetts Treatment Center for the Sexually Dangerous. All righty. Well, let's go ahead and put a crew under you. Right. Here's the keys, and time card operates like this. So what the fuck are we doing here?
Keys to the safe, keys to
everything. You're the
doors.
manager.
Yeah,
you're good at paperwork, right? Okay, good.
You are hired, sir.
You're hired. Now, September 8th, 1978, 4 p.m. This is in Raynham, okay? 15-year-old Mary Lou Arruda is riding her orange 10-speed bike near her home in Raynham. She is on the way back from a friend's house, less than 2 miles away. She's riding her bike home. It's a safe little town. You know, think twice. Of course you let your kid ride the bike home. Why not? Come on home. Be home for dinner, probably. It's 4 o'clock. She's probably coming home for dinner, eventually. She's probably had to be home, whatever. So
Mom with her half sleeves is slaving over a fucking crock pot.
That's it, man. She got her house coat on back then. And
can't wait for the girl to get home.
The Arrudas, Joanne is the mother, Adrian is her father, and she has 2 siblings. They moved to Raynham in 1969 to move to a nice, quiet town, basically. They wanted to move to a nice, quiet, safe town. That's why they picked Raynham.
Tired of the hustle and bustle of the city, and they want a small town with a big house that costs a lot of fucking money.
Absolutely. Now, while riding, Mary Sue sees her friend, a girl named Helena McCoy. Or Helena McCoy. She was walking. They're going opposite directions, so Mary Lou stopped her bike to talk to her friend who was walking. They spoke for a couple minutes. While they were speaking, Helena McCoy sees 2 cars pass twice. Sees two different cars pass them more times than they should, basically. The 2 cars are a blue car driven by a young man with long brown hair, a light beard, and a baseball cap. And then there was also a bright green small car, compact car with a black racing stripe, driven by a man with dark curly hair and glasses. And they see these 2 cars. Now, the girls are going in opposite directions. They take off. They're gone from each other. A short time later, a woman named Sheila Berry was driving along Dean Street, which was the street that Mary Lou was riding her bike on. Was riding down when a small bright green car driven by a man with dark curly hair and glasses pulled in front of her.
They happen to have a racing stripe?
And the same car, yes, racing stripe. I know of this car. The car got in front of her and sped down Dean Street faster than cars normally drive. She also said there was some sort of bulky object in the passenger seat. But you don't know what people are doing. He could have his laundry in there. What do you know? So
he
she
just left
keeps
the
driving.
flea market.
Exactly. Yeah, he's loaded up with goods.
He bought a giant rug.
He's got chair legs and buckle hats as far as the eye can see. Big old rug and a bedspread.
Lots of shit from the bleachery.
From the bleachery. Just gallons of it. At that time, Barbara Lizotte was driving on the cross street, basically, where he pulls out of Dean and gets to a cross street, and this woman is driving on the cross street. She sees a small, bright green car with a racing stripe pull out of Dean Street. Now, she saw the driver, quote, do something in the passenger side of the car before pulling off Dean Street. Like he was leaned over in the passenger seat doing something. She pulled on to Dean.
Beating the shit out of a little girl?
Possibly pushing her down, something like that. Now, she pulls on to Dean where he is. He's about to turn off of Dean Street. As she drives down Dean Street, she sees an orange 10-speed bicycle lying on the side of the road.
Oh, God, I'm so uncomfortable.
I'm very uncomfortable. My daughter's 15, like I said. At 4:30 p.m., a local neighborhood boy finds the bicycle on the side of the road and brings it to her parents at about 5 p.m. Mary Lou's parents, he knew it was her bike. She's got an orange 10-speed, probably the only one in town, or in the neighborhood. Police are called immediately. Obviously, she wouldn't leave her bike on the side of the road. What's going on? So police are called. The search is underway. They go to where her bike is. They find tire tracks in the dirt of a very distinct manner. They're very distinct tire tracks. Very odd tread patterns and things like that. They also find a couple of Benson and Hedges cigarette butts in the middle of the road near there.
Some rich fuck.
That's
Those
all
things
they
are
found.
Expensive.
That's all they found near there. I think that's what old ladies smoke.
Yeah.
Let me have a Benson and Hedges 100. Will you, darling? Hey, darling. No, a cotton. A cotton. I'm going to need a cotton. So for the next 3 days, the search team searches with dogs all around the area looking for Mary Lou. I mean, they're they don't know where she is, so
it's
they're
an intense
searching.
search. It's a 15-year-old girl. We want to find her.
It's
all fucking men everywhere.
All points.
Yeah.
Everyone on deck. Everyone on here.
Let's go. Let's find her.
Police interview the witnesses in the days after, Helen McCoy and Barry and Lizotte. They give descriptions of the car. They did composite sketches of both cars and both drivers that they saw. Now, a couple weeks later, they had both Barry and McCoy hypnotized twice to see if there was any other information. This was
the 60s and their fucking cop work.
70s, 78.
It's so fascinating.
Still, this is a big deal here. Now, they had already come up with the composite sketch. They came up with the sketches and the car descriptions before they were kidnapped, or before they were hypnotized by 2 weeks. So that's important to note because that's going to come up later on.
Okay.
Now, on September 12th, that's 3 days later, Albert Santos, who's the driver of the blue car, comes to the police station to clear up whatever's going on when he sees a sketch of himself in a store, and he goes, "That's me. That's my car description.
I got to talk to somebody.
I didn't do nothing. I better straighten this out."
Yeah.
So he goes in and he sits down with the police and he gives a full account of his day, and he says, "I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want. Search my car. Do whatever." He also said, "I did see a bright green car with a black racing stripe while I was driving.
Curly hair, glasses, and the guy, right.
That's, you sound familiar? So I did see that. Which also, too, there was another sketch sitting right next to it with that description. So even if he did do it, he might have said, hey, maybe it's that guy.
Right.
But we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt here.
I'm on board with that.
Absolutely. Now, they also hypnotized him, but this was after he gave descriptions and everything else. He is hypnotized, okay? Now, at this point, September 19th, 1978, James Cater comes into the picture.
Uh-oh.
Our buddy from before.
I'm familiar with that guy.
Our asshole from earlier. He comes in with his wife. He's married, this man. He just got married.
Some woman
just got
fucking married him.
Yep, and I believe it's within the last 10 or so days, last 2 weeks he's been married. Okay. Wow. Very recently. He goes to the Raynham police station, and he looks exactly like his composite sketch. Yep. He's got dark curly hair, glasses, the whole deal. He looks exactly like it. It's a perfect sketch. So obviously they ask him for an alibi at this point here, which seems to be,
it's a logical
reasonable.
Fucking next
hey,
step. Yeah.
You were seen multiple times by multiple people in the disappearance of a teenage girl. Maybe where were you that day? What do you say?
Mind clearing this up for us?
Absolutely. So now the abduction happened around 4 p.m. Mm-hmm. He says at 3:45 p.m. he picked up clothes from the cleaners, then dropped the clothes off at his home. At 4:15 p.m. he says he stopped at a Friendly's restaurant, which is, I don't know if you know what a Friendly's is out here.
Very East Coast.
It's very East Coast. Friendly's is it's like high quality Denny's, basically. Okay. I would say it's even better. They make their own ice cream.
It's a real diner, not America's diner.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they make their own ice cream, and if you go to the grocery store, there's Friendly's ice cream in the grocery store. They make the strawberry shortcake frozen.
That's them.
They're so good. Yeah,
really?
There's different brands, but theirs is really good.
Okay,
top notch.
Friendly's. Good Humor is the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah. No, these are really good. Friendly. They sell the different Friendly's ice cream. So anyway, enough of that. Enough about Friendly's, but Friendly's is a great place. Now sponsoring Small Town Murder, Friendly's. Visit your local Friendly's today.
Grab some strawberry shortcake ice cream bars.
Or grab a sandwich and a coffee, which is what he said he ate there.
Okay.
He said he frequents this restaurant all the time. He's always in there, which seems like an odd alibi because you would think, oh, well, then they would know if he was there or not.
Absolutely.
So, no, this sounds like a solid alibi, whatever. Around 5:45, he says he stopped at a Bradley's store. Bradley's is like a department store that's another total. It's very East Coast to hear about a Bradley's. I haven't heard about a Bradley's in about 25 years. Growing up in New York there.
It's the shit you buy before you drop it off at the flea market for sale.
Yeah, no, it's like a big, it's the best way to describe it. It's almost like a Walmart type of thing.
Woolworths?
Like a Woolworths, yeah. Like a Woolworths used to be. They have a little bit of everything. I remember my mother would buy pantyhose and I'd get a Transformer. Right. That would be like what you got there. You know what I mean? It was one of those type of places.
Awesome.
So he says he stopped at the Bradley store to get a gift for his fiancée. That day, because she was still the fiance at that point, and then once they were into the police station, it was his wife. So,
What the fuck?
Yeah, so apparently they got married. He needed to, I don't know.
So is Wild Oats.
So is Wild Oats. He said he then washed his car at the car wash, took his little green shit box in
There's
for a wash.
good reason for that.
Yeah, then he said he stopped at the Dunkin Donuts where he worked at about 6:15 to, I don't know, check in on the donuts, maybe glaze a couple himself. I don't know what he's doing down there. I'm going to stop at the Dunkin'. I really feel like I need to say hi to everybody.
Gotta unload some glaze.
He is the manager, boy. He is managing this place.
Managing like a motherfucker.
We'll say this. He's a terrible person, awful human being. He's already kidnapped. He's kidnapped a 13-year-old girl. We know that happened.
Yeah.
He's attacked 2 women, a lady in a cemetery while a grieving widow visiting her husband. He tries to
disgusting.
Beat her with a chair leg and rape her. He's a bad, bad person, but... Jimmy,
Dunkin'.
He's a hell of a Dunkin' manager. He's committed. He cares. He cares. He wanted to make sure Johnny showed up for his 6 o'clock shift. He's like, is Johnny here for 6 o'clock? I scheduled him for 6. He's been late 3 days this week. I'm not taking this shit anymore. He's very concerned. So top-notch manager if you're ever looking for one. I'm
going to stop by my Dunkin' after Bradley's. That's how much I give a shit.
After
I got
go to
errands to run, but I'm going to stop by my store.
Let's stop by the store. Let's see what's going on. So the police are, they're interested in him even more now because they're like, okay, well, he's got alibis. And the thing is, too, he didn't say I feel like he tried to. I don't know if he tried to just bluff his way out of this because this is one of those things. Like I said, if it's a Friendly's you frequent all the time, you would know that.
Yeah.
He didn't say oh, I went out and ate a sandwich in the woods by myself for an hour because I was just, or I went to a movie, like a lot of people say. I was bored. I just went to a movie, and that's a suspicious alibi.
Fuck
it's
yeah.
There's no one there to corroborate that, is there? He was like, I'm going to say the things where there's the most corroboration possible,
the most people possible.
Almost like he was thinking the police thought, well, he wouldn't lie about that. That's so easy to check. We would never lie. Did he think the cops were just going to be like, he wouldn't lie. Let's just trust him because that's odd. We could check that. So
the most popular places in town. You were there on the day of this. Then
so
fuck, you must have been.
Which is fine because if he was there, it'd be really easy to go there and they'd be like, oh yeah, he's here all the time. He was definitely there that day. Blah blah blah, no problem, right? But the Bradley, same thing, and everything else. At the Dunkin', getting his car washed, who knows? But said he's trying to pull this shit here and trying to be. I really feel like he said that to get out of the station that day.
Meanwhile, listen, it is 2017 now. There are enough cars on the road with racing stripes that you could possibly confuse one for another.
Yes.
In the fucking 70s?
Different.
Much different.
Well, now, too, a Honda looks like a Lexus.
Right.
Looks like they all
look the same.
I've seen a Kia that I was like, what is that, a Maserati? And it's a Kia. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, like, Jesus, look at that Bentley. They've really done some nice, what the fuck?
Yeah,
That's
back then
Kia?
there was nice cars and then there was just a few shit boxes, but they didn't look all alike. They were very distinctive looking
very
cars.
Obvious looking cars.
Absolutely. So, yeah, here he is going to the Dunkin' Donuts. But I feel like he said this because it was, like I said, I think he wanted to get out of the police station that day. I think he said if he thought to himself, he's like, if I give an alibi that can't be corroborated, they're going to hold on to me.
Yeah.
If I give an alibi, it's like, oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah, sure. I'm just here to clear things up. I was at the Friendlies. Everyone saw me. Then I stopped by Dunkin', same thing.
Everybody saw me.
He's thinking maybe they'll be like, okay, well, this guy doesn't seem too bad. We'll let him go and then check up on his story and then whatever. I don't know.
This is of these long before Law and Order. He doesn't know how police work works.
Long before Law and Order, and also too, serial killers like to, and people of this nature like to help the police.
Yeah,
they think they're into it. So I think maybe he thought he could have actually thought it was kind of fun to sit around and talk to the cops too, because a lot of times they like that.
And he's going to call back in a couple of days and give him another piece of information that he remembers he saw,
just to make it sure.
By the way,
I saw this really creepy van. Now I'm not sure.
Right.
I believe there's no Hispanics in town. I think I saw some Hispanics in it. I'm just saying.
May have been Portuguese. I'm not sure.
Hey, we got a lot of them.
I'm not
sure.
racist.
I'm not racist. He's in the 70s going, you know what they say about the Portuguese? I'm not saying nothing, but I've heard things. I don't know. I've heard a couple of things. That's all I'm going to say right now. I heard a couple of things about them Portuguese. They take them out on a fishing boat. They drop them off in the water. Lobsters eat them. You never hear from them again. That's all I'm saying. I don't know. But I was at the Friendlies. Don't worry about me.
It's a rumor.
Don't worry about me. So at this point, the police asked to search Cater's car.
Oh, boy.
Which is logical. They said, oh, okay, we'll search your car. So they go out to the parking lot. What is sitting there in the parking lot but a bright green Opel, which is a tiny little compact car from the 70s.
Is that a Dodge Opel?
I think it's a Chrysler, I think.
Yeah.
Or Plymouth.
When you say green, that makes it sound very, very...
70s.
Yeah, and Chrysler. Because they loved to put ugly fucking colors on cars with greens and oranges and yellows and purples.
Wasn't Wasn't that a big part of My Cousin Vinny in the final
Probably,
case there? The
yeah.
metallic mint green?
Yeah, so popular.
Pontiac Tempest,
Yeah.
and they thought it was a thing that wasn't available. And
it's those colors with white vinyl interior.
Yes.
It's like, why the fuck do you do that?
Terrible. I feel like this had like a tan vinyl interior. This
or burgundy.
Yeah, that he would wipe a new vinyl on every 2 weeks, keep it nice. So they go out and they find this bright green compact Opel with a racing stripe down the side.
Yeah.
Like, what do you expect here? He grants permission at this point, too, for them to search the car. Police look at the tires first. They find the right front tire tread is extremely unusual and unusual and characteristic and looks like what the tire marks look like near the bike. So that's suspicious. Then they open the car. They go into the car. They find wedding gifts that he bought for his fiance.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, see, I got that.
Clearly they're
got
there.
that from Bradley's 10 days ago, but still I got that from Bradley's. They find 2 pairs of dark-rimmed glasses in the glove compartment.
Yeah.
Obviously. Have to do that. He can't see. We know him.
Right.
They find 2 cartons of Benson & Hedges cigarettes. Whoa. That's not the worst part.
There's a crack in the case.
That's not the worst part. And they also find in the trunk, with some luggage, underneath some luggage, they find 2 newspapers, the Boston Globe and the Boston Herald American, both from September 10th, 2 days after the abduction, both open to the stories of Mary Lou Arruda's disappearance. And that's where we're going to have to leave it today, folks, and be back for part 2 of this. Dun. Because this story is way too long to get into.
It's so deep.
It's a deep story. The torment that this family goes through trying to bring this man to justice and the actual – it's insane what happens if you're interested in crime and courts and everything else.
I am so fascinated right now.
And also, too, Mary Lou is still missing at this point. We have not found Mary Lou at this point also. So all that for part 2. I hope you enjoyed that one and the town of Raynham, Massachusetts. I hope you're good and freaked out, and I hope you're going to go home and lock your doors and
keep an eye on your daughters.
Deflate your daughter's bike tires and keep them in the house. I think that's the moral of the story is never let your daughter ride a bike.
That's
I think is what we get out of this. But yeah, that's small town murder for this week. Before we go, we want to say a couple of things. First of all, a reminder again, please rate and review on iTunes if you enjoy the show. Please give us 5 stars. Tell us anything you want. Your following directions is what we usually do with our other podcasts. So if you want to do that, that would be great. We would really appreciate it. Really, really helps to drive us up the charts. Also, too, I have to say this. If you are offended by anything we're doing here, we apologize, but this is what we're comedians.
Right.
This is what we do. We're not journalists. No. We try our hardest to do the best research possible, but we're not journalists. We can't go to Raynham, Massachusetts and go talk to the townsfolk. I have to look for journalists who have already done that.
We're trying to make a horrible story entertaining. That's what we're trying to do.
That's it. And we never intend to offend the victims. We never intend to make fun of the victims. That's never what it's about. And especially in a case like this where, like I said, it's a 15-year-old girl and I have a 15-year-old daughter.
Home.
And it touches home. So if that's not what we're all about at all. We just want to make this fun and want to make the information palatable because honestly, hearing a story like this with a guy going, and then he tied her to a tree with a bedspread, to me is worse than if we make a dick joke now and then.
Right.
So that's how we feel about the whole thing. But thank you for hanging in there with us. We do want to thank a couple people that were really, really kind to us on social media and iTunes. On iTunes here, just a few some of our people from Crime and Sports. We have Cowboy Celtic on there. Thank you for your review. Rocky Newton. These are your iTunes names, so I'm sorry. Levi Hoare. That's Horrr. Yeah. Thank you so much.
I think it's Levi H. Or.
Oh, that's possible.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, either one. Fine. It looks like Levi Hoare. You should be careful there. N1CD1M. I feel like there's a computer-generated one. True Crime with a K.
True Crime Junkie.
Junkie. Thank you. Ariel D. or Ari D, who we know, and thank you so much. K. Ham Speaks. Cunt Cake with the U. I didn't mean to say that. That's the name of the person. And Kerrigan Bro also for his.
He's terrific.
And there's a couple others. We can't thank you enough for the iTunes reviews. Please
Ash Preston, Dave Sunsdal, and Angela Martin. Those are new people to this podcast that weren't listening. And if they were listening, they weren't commenting or whatever about Crime and Sports. So those are new people on our Facebook page of Small Town Murder at Small Town Pod on Facebook. At
Small Town Pod on Facebook, at Murder Small on Twitter. Please follow us on social media. Tell us what you think of the show.
Yeah.
say whatever you want. Should talk to us. We're very social people here. And also, too, do you want to give them your social media?
Yeah,
Jimmy?
I am Jimmy Whisman at Whisman Sucks, WHISMAN Sucks on Twitter, Instagram, and it's Snapchat. Let us know what you think of the show. If you love it, if you hate it, treat it like you robbed a bank and tell no one.
Yeah, just go walk away. Just walk away. That's it. Act like somebody gave you a piece of gum.
Right.
And because you were giving this to you. So act like someone gave you a piece of gum and you put it in and you're like, that wasn't great. You wouldn't go then tell your friend what an asshole that guy is for giving you the piece of gum.
Fucking
just
spearmint,
didn't really like the gum. Whatever. Throw it out and keep moving. So it'll get stuck to someone else's shoe and then we'll be fine with that. I'm at Jimmy P is funny and my name is James Pietragallo. Good luck spelling it. You can check the show description and find it there and friend us on Facebook or all these different forms of social media. But
I love it.
We will be back with part 2 of the murder case in Raynham with their insane, jam-packed, exciting conclusion to this whole thing.
I can't wait.
I can't wait either.
Closure.
We need closure because this is hanging. We haven't even. She's not even found yet. This poor girl.
We don't even know where she is.
We don't even know where she is. Who knows? She might be fine.
She might be safe. She might be tied to a tree, just unconscious right now.
Yeah, she thinks maybe she just moved.
It's possible.
I think maybe
I want to hope.
It's the seven. Maybe she just joined like a
It's the 70s, man. It's peace and love, babe.
They had those like 70s like hippie Christian
kids.
She might be
at Woodstock. Who knows?
Yeah, later she's just like it's going to come back. I know it is. So we don't know. We don't know.
They built it. They'll come.
They'll come. So with that said, please join us next week, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with us. It's been our pleasure. Thank you. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
a big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.